What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Alex here from Team Generations, and today, as you can probably guess by the title of this video, we're going to be going over a really awesome deck. This is going to be a new deck list for Giraffa. Now, in all honesty, I was not expecting this deck to be as good as it really is. I really think that this is a secret, kind of like rogue meta contender. It goes up against some of these really awesome decks. I've played a ton of this against Daikaiser, a lot of golds, a lot of things of that nature. Just so many good decks in the meta right now, and I really think that this has a fair shot against absolutely anybody with some of the mechanics that we are employing within this deck. Alright, before we begin, I just wanted to quickly mention thank you guys so much for all the subs. We got over 700 subs now. Really cannot believe it. Thank you guys so much. If you guys are enjoying the content, make sure to hit that subscribe button, possibly leave a like on the video if you do enjoy this. But without further ado, let's hop right into the profile. Alright, starting right off with our grade 3s, we're going to go into the main boss unit itself. We're going to be talking about Evil Armor General Giraffa. So, this guy's skill, auto on Vanguard Circle. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, counterblast 1, put a rear guard into your soul. Your opponent chooses 2 cards from their hand and calls them to rear guard circle as rest. Those cold units cannot stand during that next stand phase, and your opponent's cards' auto abilities do not activate from this call. So, really offering a nice little resource denial from your opponent, making them get rid of cards from their hand, making sure that they can't really do much with them next turn, which is really cool too, because they become dead cards. They're not locked or anything, so you can call over them, but again, that just makes your opponent waste hand, and that's kind of the theme of this deck, more or less. We want our opponent to really just waste their cards. So this really helps facilitate that. Its second skill continues on Vanguard Circle. During your turn, this unit gets an additional 5k for each card in your soul with Giraffa in the different card names. And if there are 2 or more, your opponent's Vanguard gets grade 1, or if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit's original crit becomes 2. So really giving us a very high pressure kind of Vanguard that hits nice numbers, because on your first grade 3 ride, if your opponent went first, you could have all 3 of these in here. Not only can you be 27k, because it has to suck in another copy of itself potentially, from a rearguard circle, but on top of that, it can get that extra crit. So I think that crit just puts on another piece of, just like a layer of pressure that we didn't previously really have in a Vanguard necessarily. So I really like this. I think this is a great unit. And then we have the multi-attacking from other things in general from this deck, so let's get into some of that. So pressure from the Vanguard, making them waste some of those cards, really nice. I really think this is the best boss unit the Megacolony currently has in V. Next up over here, another really critical card. This is going to be, what is it? Pincer Attack Mutant Intrude Scissors. So, Intrude Scissors is great. It came out in the last clan selection or collection, whatever they called it. Its skill in the drop zone at the end of battle, your Vanguard attacks, grade 3 or greater, if a new card is put into your opponent's damage zone during this turn, you get to counterblast 1, call this card to rearguard circle, and then second skill, auto 1 place, soul blast 1, choose one of your rearguards, stand it. This unit gets an additional 10k until the end of turn. So, if you guys have watched my Gridora profile for V, obviously it doesn't have the newer cards in it. It came out a little bit while ago, but the whole idea of that deck was to actually stand the rear guards behind it. Gridora was able to kind of call out another unit. This guy can come out too, basically generating, yes, still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attacks, but it would be more impactful attacks with the back row. You can choose, there's a card in here that we want to kind of stand in the back row. I'm going to go over that in just a little bit, but this is a really multi-layered deck. There are a lot of different options you can go for. You can go for the multi-attack in the front row with 1 card, and then you can go for a restand with a very impactful rear guard later on into the game as well. So again, I'll go over both of those, but this is just such a nice card. You need to see 2 of these guys, because basically they'll recycle themselves from the drop, call over, swing, call over it, boom, next turn, swing, call over it, so on and so forth. So I think that's why I'm running it at 3. You don't really need it at 4. It is a really great card. You do need to kind of see it in the game, but I think there's so many ways to search out grade 3s in this deck that we don't need to run it at a max 4 of, and we have some room for some other techs. Speaking of a tech over here, this is actually a very impactful card in this deck, and I think a couple other people I've seen in their lists, obviously these 2, but this is going to be the, Unrivaled Blade Rogue Cyclomatooth. So this is a little bit of an older card, so I will go over the skill. Its skill on Van or Rearguard Circle. When it attacks a Vanguard, CB1, Soul Blast 1, and this unit gets 10k until the end of turn. Then put the top card of your opponent's deck into the drop zone. If it's grade 1 or greater, this guy gets an additional crit until the end of turn. Its second skill, when rode upon, blah blah blah. We don't really want to ride this card, so I'm not going to go over that, but this is really nice because look, there is no once per turn, it's just when it attacks a Vanguard. So if we restand him off of Cyclomatooth, if we have the cost to pay this, we're ready for that blowout turn, boom, we could do that. So that can become a 3 crit Vanguard. It's really nice, and yeah, I just think it's very impactful in terms of gaining power. pressure that it exudes with that extra crit is absolutely insane. If it's boosted by the right unit too, I mean, again, it just really makes it tough for your opponent to guard out some of these big attacks. And if we're attacking twice with that 2 crit, potentially 3 crit kind of rear guard, it could be game over. It could really spell game over from our opponent. So this is definitely a really, really nice card. I do like this in this deck. I definitely suggest including it. See some lists without it, but I definitely say put it in. Next up over here, we're going to go over the grade 2 Giraffa, so finally getting into some of that support. I just didn't get the 4th copy in the mail yet. By the time this video is probably out, I probably will have it, but yeah, the distributor only sent me one, so I was like, uh-oh. Anyway, so this guy's skill, Elite Mutant Giraffa, Van or Rearguard Circle. When this unit attacks, counterblast 1, and this guy gets an additional 5k until the end of turn for each one of our opponent's rested rearguards. If your opponent has 1 or less stood rearguard, we draw a card. So, of course, you know, your opponent, if they're calling cards down, they're basically going to be swinging with them more or less, unless they really want to counterplay this card, which I can't see that happening. This just really makes it a powerful unit on top of card draw. Like for 1 counterblast, that is so worth it. It's a good Vanguard ride, obviously, because we want to have this Giraffa insole to get our grade 3 Giraffa kind of off. And yeah, I really, really like this card. This is definitely a 4 of in this deck. And its second skill continues on Rearguard Circle. All of our opponent's rearguards in the same column of this unit cannot intercept or move to other rearguard circles. So if you have, you know, like odd cards, I guess, who does a lot of intercepting? I guess some Angel Feather decks, some Grand Blue and stuff. Like, if you want to shut that down, you definitely can, but there's nothing that really big that comes to mind. But these little numbers do actually help because you're shredding so much from your hand, from your opponent's hand, that you're going to basically see they're going to try to intercept as much as possible. So this could really help with that, but overall, not the most impactful. But this is a really, really great card, a great addition to the deck. I think this probably will end up in a lot of other Megacolony decks as well. I need to kind of go back and retool some of those, but great card, great support. Next up, just for consistency and again another powerful unit, we're going to be talking about Machining Mantis. So this is the card in Megacolony that never leaves. This is the card that we keep on going back to. Of course, it's been out for a while. It did get reprinted in the last set. So auto on Van or Rear, 1 place, CB1, look at 6 cards on the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 grade 3 card from among them, put it into your hand, shuffle your deck, and this guy gets an additional 6k until the end of turn. So hitting those magic overdress numbers, I guess, with that 15k base body, boosted by, you know, like a grade 2, a grade 1, like an 8k, that could be actually like a 23. So if, you know, your opponent hit a trigger, at least you can threaten a hit or something like that. So I actually do like this card. I think that the CB1 on Van or Rear, you know, if you have to ride this, it's not the end of the world. You can still search for some of those other really, really great key grade 3 pieces that we need in the deck, and that kind of allows us to run those grade 3s at a smaller ratio, allowing for more kind of shield and just durability in this deck. So I really like this card. This is definitely a 4 of and a Megacolony staple. Next up, this is kind of a tech card. This is like where I'm questioning. I might take this out. I like it sometimes. I don't like it at other times just because of the Soul Blast, but this is going to be Bloody Hercules. So this guy is really cool. Auto on Vanguard Circle. On Rearguard Circle, 1 place. Soul Blast 1. This guy gets 6k until the end of turn. So again, hitting that 15k number. And then on Van or Rearguard Circle, when its attack hits, countercharge 1 of your units gets 6k until the end of turn. So again, if you are looking to restand something, you know, maybe you're going to replace this off the pincer, the Intrude Scissors. This could be good to kind of give it a little bit more power throughout, but the main thing that we're looking for here is the countercharge mid-battle. As you can see, every single card I think we just went over just used the counterblast, so we kind of want to take damage early. Sometimes our opponent will deny us that, and this guy kind of helps us get that countercharge maybe live mid-battle. There's just like one attack that they don't want to block, and you know, this could really set up and kind of extend our turn, make our turn flow a little bit better, and just become more impactful overall. I think it's just a Soul Blast 1 place that it kind of sucks. You don't have to do it. It's just there is a lot of soul in this deck. You don't want to Soul Blast out your Giraffas all the time, but it is what it is. I think that it's definitely still worth it to try. Let me know your thoughts on that and what you would replace it with. Alright, and then next up we are looking at 4 again of the Giraffa. So this is going to be Pupa Mutant Giraffa. A really, really nice card. I think this is the most overlooked card probably in the deck so far. This guy's auto skill, when it's placed on Vanguard Circle, discard a normal unit from your hand, search your deck for up to 1 card with Giraffa in its card name as the same grade as the card you discarded for this cost, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. This cost is reduced by Soul Blast 1 for each one of your opponent's rested rearguards in the same column as this unit. When it's placed, you get on Rearguard Circle, we get to Soul Blast 2 and draw a card. So again, when you pop this guy down, you basically want to put it in a column with, on Rearguard Circle at least, with like 2 rested rearguards. So you don't pay anything, you just draw a card. That is really, really nice. Just a little bit of replacement right there, a little bit of filter, I guess you could call it. And then again, you can suck this guy in if you didn't ride him first off of your grade 3 Giraffa. So the call, the draw, everything kind of just worked out. On top of that, when this unit is placed on Van, that whole skill right there, I mean, that is huge. That helps fix the ride chain so often. The consistency of this deck is really off the charts. Like, It's so rare. I've only played one game, I think, where I didn't ride Giraffa first. It was really weird. I couldn't find any grade 3 Giraffas, but aside from that, like, this card has really saved me so many times. The consistency in this deck is absolutely nuts, and this kind of helps contribute to that. Very, very good card. All right, and then here's the spice. This is where the whole deck kind of comes together. This is the card that I don't see in a lot of other lists, but oh my god, it makes such a difference, I think. This is going to be Brawny Jerk. So again, Brawny Jerk is all about shredding your opponent's hands. Its skill auto on rearguard circle. When placed, Soul Blast 1, this guy gets an additional 6k until the end of turn. Put the top card of your opponent's deck into the drop zone, and if it's grade 1 or greater, you Soul Charge 1, making a really weird number there with like a 14k booster. Just kind of odd. Again, this guy gets that until the end of turn, so if you restood this, it can be really nice to boost again, and you still do get the Soul Charge off of this. It's a bit of a gamble for that, but overall, not too bad. And then its second skill, auto on rearguard circle. When it boosts a unit that attacked a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, discard a card from our hand. Our opponent chooses a card from his or her hand and discards it. So I know this sounds heavy, but at the same time, when you think about it, Giraffa, you got 2 cards down from hand. If you were playing this on your second grade 3 turn, I wouldn't probably push with this early unless you really know you can shred through their hand and like get the game right then and there. This is more like a second grade 3 ride, and in a protect deck, I think we can definitely get away with doing that, especially with the Heal Guardians now. Game is just a lot slower. But in general, what you kind of want to do is on your second grade 3 ride, pop 2 of these guys down. If you have 2 of them, you can have a really nice turn. You're basically taking 2 cards from their hand with Giraffa, and they have to replace those later if they survive this turn. You're going to have Cyclomatooth swing, hopefully, really big number on top of a really big booster. Shred a card from their hand, have another guy shred a card from their hand, and then boom. If you don't want to restand Cyclomatooth, if you know you have that final hit, you've counted the cards in their hand, you know that they can't guard your pincer when it comes out. When your pincer comes out, the pincer attack mutant, restand this guy instead of the other attacker in the front row. And it's not like Overdress where they could be that last card could be a perfect guard. No, you have to discard to get that. So it could be a really impactful card. I've absolutely shredded my opponent's hand with 2 of these going off. So I really like it. If you have the resources for it, if you know you can get about 2 of these off on your second grade 3 turn, kind of shell turtle a bit on your first grade 3 turn, like, this will be the game, like, make or break right here. So I really love this card. I think this takes a lot of games off of people that are not expecting it, and just boom, where did my hand go? All right, next up, again, I know I did mention consistency, and so much of our deck runs through key grade 3 pieces, so I'm running 3 of these guys. New Face Mutant, Little Dorcas. Again, this is a top 5 grade 3 searcher, so pop it down, search for a grade 3. If you added a grade 3 to hand, discard from hands, boom. Really, really easy. And then if our opponent has no standing rearguards, this guy gets 5k. So it's not hard to kind of get that, especially if you went first, on your second turn, you can then go and kind of get this live with like a 13k. So really, really nice card overall. I think, again, consistency wise, we definitely need it in the deck. You can bump it to 4. I'll show you what you guys can cut out in just a second. But again, we needed like counter chargers in this deck. So I am running actually 2 of these, sorry. Small Captain Butterfly Officer. So when placed, we get to rest this unit, choose up to 1 of your other rearguards, gets 10k until the end of turn. If you chose at the end of turn, put this unit into your soul and counter charge 1. So really, really nice overall, like just giving us that extra 10k. You basically put that on a Cyclomatooth, and then Cyclomatooth buffs itself. You could hit a trigger, put it on Cyclomatooth. You could restand Cyclomatooth again off of the pincer scissors. It just makes a really like unguardable kind of crazy crit pressure kind of unit. And again, it does go into the soul, so it is feeding your soul and you're countercharging 1. I think this is a really good card. I like it at the 2 of ratio. I think my ratios are pretty much where I want them to be. I tested it a lot. I see these often enough. I honestly think this really works in the deck. So I like this girl. And then this guy is really interesting. I'll tell you about the little combo play here, but this is going to be 1 Stealth Millipede. You can bump this guy out, but I think there's a really fun interaction here with the grade 3 Vanguard, the Giraffa. So this guy's skill, just for everybody who doesn't know it, this did get reprinted. This was a promo previously, but continues on rearguard circle. This unit is rest all of your opponent's rearguards in the same column as this unit cannot stand. When this unit attacks, or the attack and boosted hits, put this unit into your soul and counter charge 1. So if your opponent's smart, they'll actually let you counter charge off of this. So what you do with Giraffa, you're obviously calling him down. They're probably gonna call 2 units to different rows just to make it so that they can't, get an entire column blocked out. So what you do is kind of place the Stealth Millipede where you think they're pretty much going to put 1 of those. So you're basically taking the front row unit that your opponent called down that cannot stand, and then you're putting this in the opposite column. So the one column can't stand, the other one in the front row can't really stand if they don't let this hit. So I think this is just like really impactful. If your opponent's unaware and they kind of let that play go off, like I've kind of like locked out where all they could do is like swing with their Vanguard. So it's been very, very nice in that regard. And again, the counter charge is nice too. It's a mid-battle counter charge, so it's at the kind of the what's the word for it? The mercy of your opponent. But at the same time, it does give us that option and ability to do that, so I think it definitely deserves a spot in the deck. So that is it for the main deck. Let's pan out and let's go to the triggers now. All right, getting right into the triggers. I don't think there's anything too spicy here. I think that we're just, there might be something, but we're starting with the 4 of the Heal Guardians now. I think that the game just gets out of hand a little bit, obviously too soon for some decks, so this kind of helps us slow their roll a bit, just make sure that we survive throughout. It is a 10k body too if you need to play it, but giving your units, you know, either that -2 crit for your opponent or giving your units that 10k, it could be really beneficial. So right now I'm rocking this at 4 of. The only thing is we do want to take some damage early, so I've been toying with the idea of maybe swapping one of them out for like a 20k shield or something. So you could try that. Let me know how that works down below if you have kind of run it like that. Definitely let me know. But I'm also running 6 draw in here, so we're running that Brawny Jerk, and Brawny Jerk does discard from our hand, and I think that there just really has to be something that kind of replenishes us, and there's nothing super natural. I mean, I know there's the grade 2, there's the grade 1 also in the Giraffa that do draw, but we do kind of, you know, call things down, draw, blah blah blah, but you just need something a little bit more organic, and this really helps us. And these are 5k shields that are not hard to discard. There's a lot of key pieces in this deck, and sometimes you have to discard that. I just don't believe that that's the best idea to do, but we're also running 6 crit total then, and then obviously a starter, so I still like the what was it, the Dorcas starter from, God, what was her name? Gridora. I can't even think right now. But yeah, this is my trigger lineup. Let me know if you guys would change anything. I do personally like to draw. Again, just helps us kind of have some discard fodder in our hand, draw through, get some of our key pieces maybe a little bit earlier, and just help us survive the game. Length is your friend here. Like, you want to just survive longer. The longer you survive, I think the better you're going to do in this deck and really build up for that big Brawny Jerk turn. So yeah, let's get into a test hand. I'll show you guys how the deck kind of plays out and my vision of it. Alright, cool. So let's go over here. Let's start to shuffle up. And again, I think this deck really does have a good chance against a lot of people. Like with this hand shred strategy, you can definitely like just take games off people who are not expecting it. I really think this is actually a very good deck. It's probably the best deck that now we have in Megacolony. Definitely like I would definitely say that, yeah. One of the better Protect decks right now in the V meta, at least too. So again, this is a grade 2 actually. This is one I'm proxying. But let's put back the heal. Let's maybe keep the Brawny Jerk. 1 and 2, yeah, let's put back the heal and see what we draw into here. Alright, we're gonna draw into another trigger. Oh my god, I drew into it. I just called that. Oh my god, I love when that happens. Not really, but there we go. Okay. Oh, why is that upside down? What the hell? Okay, stand and draw for our turn. We are then unfortunately gonna have to ride the Brawny Jerk. We are here. And then I'm going to draw off of the ride. Alright, we do get a Giraffa, another one, okay. And we are going to pass it over to our opponent, take a damage, boom, okay. This is one of the, like Hercules, stand and draw for our turn. We are then going to ride into our grade 2. Again, I'm sorry, I'll flash on the screen what this is proxying for, just not here right now. Alright, cool. So we are then going to swing and we're going to counterblast 1. Because our opponent has no standing rear guards, we're going to draw a card. So we do draw that grade 1, which is cool, and then drive check. Boom. Alright, so we have almost all the Giraffas in our hand. Pass it over to our opponent, 1. Let's say 2. Okay, since that wasn't the trigger, we'll say we took 1 more. Boom, draw. Okay, stand and draw. This is actually really tough because we don't have too much set up. We don't have another one of him in our drop zone, so we might have to call over him this turn. We don't have Cycloma Tooth right here, but we can make this a decent thing here. Okay, so let's do this. Let's call down. Going to counterblast 1. Going to search the top 6. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have rode first, of course. There we go. We're gonna ride. I get my protect marker, and then we're gonna search that top 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see what we get here. Any grade 3s? No, of course not. But it does get that 6k, so it's still threatening for a hit there, which is not too bad. Okay. We are then going to call down the Cycloma Tooth. We are then going to kind of call over it with the Giraffa. We want 2 Giraffa in our soul. This is going to help us do that. We're going to suck him in, and then he's going to come out from the drop, which is not the worst thing. So we're going to go here. Let's go... Let's say, do I have things I want to do that with? Yeah, you know what? We're going to do this. This might be a little bit living on the edge, but I'll show you. So we're going to swing. This is 15k. We are actually not going to swing with that first. We're going to swing with this. So we're going to discard a card from our hand and then discard a card from our opponent's hand. I'm going to discard another Giraffa, actually. I want to keep as much shield as possible. So we're going to do that. And then, you know what, let's say we also called him down too. There we are. Alright, so then we are going to swing with our Vanguard. We're going to counterblast one. And we are going to make them call 2 cards from their hand. So that's 2 cards so far, 3 cards total for the turn. And we're going to drive check twice. 1, 2, crit power. Let's go. All effects there. So this is 25 plus 7, it's 32. And then we're going to activate his skill. We're going to counterblast one. Soul Blast one. Yeah, let's Soul Blast that, I guess. And we're going to call, oh, actually, sorry, this goes into Soul here. And we're going to call this down. And that was going to be a 22k. Single crit, though, because there's 2 different Giraffas in there. But this is going to be, here, his skill. We're going to Soul Blast one out. For the scissors, let's Soul Blast out the Dorcas, because that doesn't have that name. And then we are going to restand another rear guard. I'm going to restand him, actually. So this is 22k plus an 8k. It's 30k body right here, or 30k total. Didn't activate the first skill. I probably, yeah, I didn't really want to do that because that would Soul Blast out too many for this turn, but that's okay. So this is still a 30k attack, and we are going to actually use this. We are going to choose to get rid of this for my turn. So I think that, you know, with this hand, we probably could survive the next turn. Again, judge the game state, but we just got rid of 4 cards from our opponent's hand. So even if they get there, unless it's like a gold paladin deck that just like spams out the entire field, or, you know, maybe Grand Blue kind of recurs from drop, like this is really tough for them to get over. So 1, 2, and that's just with 1 Brawny Jerk plus this. So that's really nice. And again, you know, we get through it. Next turn, boom, take it. All right, so we got to guard everything. Guard 1, guard 2. Got the other one. Okay, there we go. So we're really left with not a lot. We do have a PG in hand too. I should have probably used that, but stand and draw. You know, we could maybe make something out of this. You know, we blocked with him, let's say, call him down. But that's really the strategy. You want to shred your opponent's hand. And again, now that their turn has passed, do the same thing again. Eat a unit. It's going to be 3 now because he's in there. You can call over this guy if you want to, kind of get him in drop, but this is just a really solid deck overall. Could potentially have shut them down with the Millipede if they didn't let that hit, because I didn't counter that. I didn't consider that a counter charge there. Just so many different ways you can play this, and this has such a nice disruptive play style, so I really do personally like it. I hope you guys did enjoy the deck list. Let me know your thoughts on it, anything that you would change. And no, this kind of looks like I just dumped my whole hand, but play it out. Like when you play this, you'll see like this deck is actually pretty good. So thank you guys so much again. This is Alex from Team Generations signing out.